Christians can see that Muslims see themselves as being children of Abraham, that Abraham becomes the archetype of faith, and many good points can be brought up, and similarities and closeness even of mind and thought and desire.
Thank you. Thank you. Let's take a question from here.
I just have a little problem about Jesus as the Son of God. If we go back and look at the creation of God, that he created a human being in 4 different forms. The first form was out of the mud, Adam be, and it become Adam. Right from the rib of Adam, pull it out, and here is Eve. And right from Eve and Adam, there is us. And right, another creation, more miracle, just from Eve, from Mary, without any interference, be Jesus and become. So it shows the miracle of creation in different 4 types. He could have said be, and it become from a mud, which is more and greater creation than the creation of Jesus himself, due to the fact that he came at least from a flesh. But Adam didn't come from a flesh, he just simply come from a mud. And if that's the case, then God want to convey a message to us. If we look around this room right now, and we see that we came from Adam and Eve, if we believe that theory, that you are what you call a Caucasian. I am a little bit darker. Somebody here with wide eyes. Some people are fat. Some people are thin. So all these things, the only reason I think God brought Jesus in the form that he did, because of the Jewish, the only nation that God went to the super extent to approve to them through a miracle. He just split the Red Sea for them, and they went across, and immediately instead of remembering this miracle, they start worshiping the cow. And here go their prophet went to the mountain to get the 10 Commandments. So he wanted a greater miracle to them and shown that I can make the individual prophet for you right from this woman, the virgin woman, without anyone touching her.
Thank you. Is it self-explanatory? Should we go to another question, or you want to make a comment? I think it was a statement from
a statement, okay.
Yes. Okay. Unless you need a reply to a certain point.
Is there a question there? I didn't see.
Okay, thank you. Sister.
Maybe next session.
If you'll indulge me for just a minute, I'd like to go from attack and defend to tell me straight out. But first, I want to get to that point via another route. Can you tell me, after having said we never burned our Gospels, we never burned, we kept our manuscript, how the canonical Gospels were picked at Nicaea?
How the canonical Gospels?
After, under Constantine, they had
yes, but
all signed. They had been coerced. They had all signed the agreement that there was a Trinity. Then they said we need a miracle. How did they decide? And how many were there to begin with?
What's the we need a miracle? I'm not sure I follow that.
Well, it's my understanding that at the Council of Nicaea, the people that were advocating the idea of the Trinity, having won the debate, let's say, and everyone signed, including Constantine, who had also deified his father, then they said, okay, now how are we going to decide which of these 200 and some odd Gospels that are in front of us do we canonize? Which ones do we use? Are you familiar with this story, or am I losing my mind?
What I think is important here for all of us is what happened before the accepting of the canon.
Okay,
and that is that the Pauline epistles were circulated at a very early date as a group. Most of the books in the New Testament had been circulating for years and years and years before that time. There were certain books that there were questions about, but the vast majority of them had always been recognized as canonical.
Can the Muslim side help the
I think the sister might be referring to something I read once, but personally I don't think it's in anywhere near historic. was by one Muslim author who wrote that the Christians did something like put all the texts upstairs in a room, and then the next day they came up and found 4 on it. But well, no, I'm not doing this to make a joke about anybody, but just to be accurate. This is not really in any way near a historic count.
Conceding that, what we came up with were the four canonical Gospels that we have today are what the people advocating the Trinity were using to support their views. Is this not correct?
This was generally accepted broadly throughout the church, and it was also that broadly throughout the church
there was a feeling,
there was the belief that God had expressed himself through his Son and
Okay, let's
his
agree
Spirit.
to disagree. This isn't the point. Let's agree to disagree, because my personal view is, and the view of other people is, that this wasn't as widely accepted as it is purported to be. Conceding that and agreeing to disagree, as a Muslim, if you ask me, why do you believe? Why are you a Muslim? I would say because I can go back to the original, because I have absolute historical evidence on the original, on the Prophet himself, on the way things were gathered, on what has come down to us. I would say because there were prophecies in the Quran regarding things that have happened since and things that are yet to come, prophecies that have come true. I would say there are scientific things spoken about, fetal development, astronomy, all of these things that there's no way the Prophet could have known, or anyone in his time, and since have been proven to be true. Not one thing in the Quran has scientifically been proven not to be true. As a Christian, if I ask you, tell me, other than because you believe it to be true, why should I accept these 4 canonical Gospels? Give me something solid, something. I mean, if I just came up to you and asked you, what would you tell me?
Well, probably one thing I would tell you, if you read the books and prayed before you read them and asked God to speak to you through them, you would undergo the experience that I did. Without having come from any Christian background, actually, you read the book and you find that it is powerful. You find God actually speaking to you through it. And you also see the power of God that gives you victory over sin, a new direction in life. And this is one area where God proves, there's a verse that says, "Oh, taste and see that the Lord is good." I think I got something through quick. No, go ahead. Go ahead. I got something.
Well, with all due respect, to me, this sounds like emotion. I find the same emotion in the Islam. I was raised an American Baptist. I was ready to become a missionary when I was introduced to Islam. And I find the same emotion in Islam. And God guide our intentions. A'udhu billahi min shaitan rajim. Really, I did pray. I cried, I prayed. I mean, having found the same emotion in Islam, besides the emotion, besides that it speaks to you, because other things speak to other people also. Anyone, Joseph Smith can claim that his inspirations were from God, but as we all know, he was a convicted con man. I mean, there are reasons why you can look at Joseph Smith and say, this is obviously, at least to what we believe, or what some of us believe, not to be the case. And
well, Mormons would say their prophet has a higher moral character than yours, if you talk with them, so...
Well, I don't mean to... I mean, what I'm saying is you don't believe in him, I don't believe in him. There are reasons. I believe in the Quran. There are reasons. What are your reasons besides emotion that you believe in the
Well, there are a lot of historical reasons too. Now let me do away. I hope I could do away with a conspiracy theory. Can you imagine a group of men coming together who are sincere men? They're trying to seek God. Many of these people have been killed for their faith. For decades, they've been persecuted. They've been thrown to lines. They've been burned. Even to preserve their holy books, they were ready to die for these holy books.
Vietnamese died for their cause.
Yeah. But hold. Well, let me finish. Now, these people come together with honest intentions. Now, do they come together and say, well, let's corrupt our own well. Let's deceive our children. Let's distort the vision of the church. Let's come up and cook up some false gospels and make some false beliefs so that all the people who follow from us are misled. Do they do that? I mean,
if I concede that they had good intentions, will you also concede that that was not the only view? That Arius and many, many, many others shared the view, and the Judeo-Christians shared the view that Jesus, that there was no such thing as a Trinity, that it was not taught.
Could I just talk
Thank you.
about the early
We want to
disciples?
finish, so please make it short, please.
Okay. The early disciples